Until we can get that health under control, you can't feel the abundance of life and what it has to offer. And so really narrowing that window down for those patients is really what I want to do. So making trial and error a thing of the past.
That's what we do. We promote integrative healthcare.
The second thing is the financial ROI, which we all are here for that reason too. I had a very large goal for the year, at least so I thought, which was going to far exceed what I've done in previous years. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it's halfway through the year and I've already hit that goal for the year. Every single month, month over month, I've come to Mike and say, okay, I've beat this goal. I've beat this goal. I've beat this goal. It's incredible to watch that. I know that without having you and your agency helping me along this journey, I don't think I'd be where I am today right now.
In today's client feature interview, we're going to talk about healthcare marketing and healthcare branding and some strategies for that. And most importantly, how do we connect these two to business development? Because a lot of people, a lot of healthcare practitioners, a lot of entrepreneurs, they have a lot going on healthcare marketing. And on the outside, it looks like they have everything figured out. But on the inside, the business development needle is not even moving. And it doesn't have to be this way. So we're going to talk about some strategies. If you found them helpful, let us know. Ask questions in comments below. Definitely connect with our guest. And I will tell you, I am just so excited to feature her today because I'm proud to call her our client. I'm proud to call her my friend as well. She's probably the most passionate person that you will ever meet in your life. If not the most, she is right there on the top at the 1%. Okay. She is a rebel pharmacist. She's an integrative pharmacist, holistic diabetes management educator, public speaker. She is the owner and founder of Pai Wellness Group. She is a published author, holistic business consultant. There's so much that she's doing that is just unbelievable. And she does all of it with great passion and with great mission. And, especially when it comes to diabetes, many people make, decisions, try something, and then it doesn't work. And then they try something again, and it doesn't work. It's not only with diabetes, it's with every part of our lives. We have that trial and error. And she actually made it her mission to make trial and error a thing of the past. I'm here with Dr. Asha Pai Bohannon. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having me. And that was such a wonderful intro. So thank you so much for that. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to feature you to our viewers. So let's start with the contextualized conversation about your mission. Let's talk about the trial and error, making it a thing of the past. What does it mean to you? And a little bit about what you do in your practice, so people have a little bit of a context of how that mission connects to improvement of people's lives.
100%. So it connects to every aspect of our being. But as it pertains to what I do, I am a certified diabetes educator, have been for over almost 22 years now. And what I have noticed over that time period is that people they're suffering, they're struggling with trying to get their blood sugars under control, the insulin resistance under control, because they just keep trying different things. They're trying different medications and prescriptions, which may or may not work. So that is a trial and error piece. They're trying different types of nutrition plans, different exercise plans, and it may or may not work. And it's just our lives, health is wealth. And that is my favorite phrase to say. And until we can get that health under control, you can't feel the abundance of life and what it has to offer. And so really narrowing that window down for those patients is really what I want to do. So making trial and error a thing of the past for every diabetes patient that comes to me needing that help. And so that's the piece with the diabetes wellness that I do. The other piece is the holistic business consulting. My theory is that you can't have a thriving business if you don't have a thriving life, and vice versa. And so we really need to work on kind of cutting down that trial and error of making business work. One of the things that we always talk about within the Impact Pharmacist Center of Excellence is that you want to be risk averse, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, we think that they take a lot of risks, but really being a successful entrepreneur is about avoiding those pitfalls that put you in that risk. risk. And so doing things in the right place, in the right order, really does take away that trial and error of making sure that this is going to work. And then something new that's kind of brewing is a passion of mine is I used to work a lot with independent pharmacy, community pharmacies, and I really want to help. I think there's been a lot of trial and error of trying to figure out how to stay above the curve for those independent community pharmacies. And that's a big passion of mine to really help them. So we've got some really big things brewing there to help make trial and error a thing of the past in that realm as well. So really excited about just helping anybody and everybody that comes my way to really cut down on those mistakes that could be made if we just had the right tools and resources in place.
I love it. And, for those of you watching who are thinking she's doing a lot of different things, that may be very similar in your case, right? You may have different brands, different companies, different ideas. So I think one of the things that is pretty important is to put some sort of organization when it comes to how do you organize everything in your mind and what is the common denominator between all of them. And you can see how Dr. Asha is actually making all of them part of the same mission, because that trial and error is in all aspects of life, from health to business, through all the other things that she's doing and helping people with. So that is great. She talks about being risk averse and management of risks all the time. And I think it is very important, because sometimes one bad decision can cost us time, money, et cetera, and resources. At the same time, I want to give you, Asha, great compliment, because you are actually one of the bravest people that I know when it comes to risk taking. So while she's managing the risks, I think that it's important for you to understand it's also having the guts to move forward when you don't have everything figured out. And you know what I'm talking about. We have done a lot of leaps, forward without having everything figured out. So I think having this harmony between, she talks about harmony all the time. So I want to also bring that concept to you. She says work-life balance doesn't exist, which I agree with. She says it's all about harmony. How do we make it harmonize? And that's something she can tell you more about. That same harmony, I think, needs to be between being risk averse and actually the ability of taking risk. And she is doing great. So Asha, seriously, great job with that. Let's talk a little bit about your situation and how you felt as well before we met, because I think a lot of people watching this may have a similar situation, a lot of things going on, and then maybe something is missing. So let's talk about that. How did it look like for you?
Oh, yes, totally. I know everybody is going to hear this and think, yes, that's me, because there is something called shiny object syndrome. And we have all been attacked by that at some point in our lives in some way. And particularly if you are wanting to go out and be an entrepreneur, there's shiny objects everywhere. And there's a lot that we are capable of doing as entrepreneurs, as healthcare individuals. We are capable of a lot. And so I think when we're in that mode of not really knowing where we want to go with anything that we're doing and what those lanes are, we tend to have, I'm going to call it 6 different lanes under ourselves, under our umbrella. And they are, they can go from underwater basket weaving all the way to diabetes management, right? It's just something that piques our interest that we know that we can do. And I was there for many years where I was pulling at the different interests that I had, or different things that I was capable of doing. And so little by little, I put together my programs and my packages that fell under a little bit better of a situation. And then in comes Polish Your Business and Mike comes into the picture. And what it helped me do is really hone in on what are the lanes that actually end up in the same destination in some capacity. So falling under that idea of making trial and error a thing of the past. What does that mean for me? And having me really think through anything that comes my way, does it fall under that category or not? And that helps me really stay focused. It helps me be able to do more for more people, because I am more focused on kind of keeping that eye on the prize of making trial and error a thing of the past.
Wow.
So,
and you can also see that sometimes the complexity of the situation requires us to simplify it a little bit. because when you have a lot of things going on, having that common denominator, like we talk about your mission, right? And we were consciously through questions and answers and actually learning about her and her priorities, we were able to figure out, yes, that common denominator is that mission that we talk about right now. And now from something that otherwise seemed very complex, now we are organizing it to something much more simple, at least in concept. And now the execution will have complexity because of speed. Of course, complexity is going to come. But I think it's important for all of you watching to try to sometimes not only focus what can you do and these, shiny objects that you can grab, because they're all very, very, very tempting. And at the same time, what are we not going to do that is going to save that time and preserve that decision-making energy for the things that move the needle? So let's talk about some examples, if you don't mind, of what conversations we had and then the outcome, or maybe a strategy that we suggested to you and then the outcome. If you could give people maybe 2-3 examples, that would be great.
Yeah, I think the first one is talking about those lanes, and I forget the proper name, so forgive me, but it's basically like a strategy board, a business development board that you have created to help me really see, like physically see, what are those lanes that I'm staying in? And anything that comes my way has to fit in one of those buckets, I'm going to call them. And that's how I find the harmony, right? Is that if I know that it's going to fit in these, then I have the energy and I've preserved it enough for what this umbrella entails. So I think that's a really big thing that happened for me through this process. The risk taker in me, like you said, is if it falls in one of those buckets, the next step is to say yes to the opportunity if it comes your way, and then figure it out later. And so having the opportunity to work with you one-on-one consulting has been amazing, because I can literally say, all right, Mike, I said yes to this opportunity. Now I got to plan it out. And that has been such a great tool and resource for me to be able to say, okay, say yes to something that I know that I can and will and want to do, but be able to figure out the steps behind it. And so that's been really helpful for me throughout this whole process. And it just continues to happen, which is really exciting. So that's good.
That is great. And every meeting with Dr. Asha is awesome, because when we meet and I asked about an update of, basically I want to know, that's how we start. What's important for you for this meeting? What's important for you today? And then, what's been happening? And almost every meeting she starts with like, oh my God, I got to tell you, I have a lot to tell you. A lot of things are happening. The speed is picking up, and it's beautiful to see this, and then to help organize, prepare for the next, round, right? And then have another great update with this big smile that I'm seeing right now. It's really great to watch, because for a business consultant, for a strategist, to create a strategy is one. To create a strategy that actually fits the need on the other side is another. And I think that's a big success. On top of that, having that strategy actually be implemented on the other side by somebody she's a ninja, who is a ninja in implementation, and then report to you, Mike, I did this, I did this, I did this, and I did 5 different things I didn't tell you about that right now are on. How do we deal with the new situation right now? And now we have a new challenge. I absolutely love it. So talking about some strategies, right? So we talk about capturing the value and then showing it to people versus explaining it. She did a lot of that before we met, right? So there were behind the, let's call it behind the paywall, right? So when somebody pays to be the client, there were a lot of videos and materials. But what happens in front of that paywall before people paid, when they Googled Pai Wellness Group, when they search on YouTube, we didn't really capture the value and show it to people back then. And right now, step by step, we are putting check marks on certain things. So we want people to understand the value that comes from what she's doing. So one is creating this brand image on different platforms. I'm not talking about specifically the number of likes, because sometimes the post with much less likes or views can move the needle on business development. And another one that has more likes can be just, liked by people. But for example, for a diabetes educator and being a quite serious person in the marketplace, you don't necessarily have to dance on TikTok, upside down, right? So, things like that are not necessarily matching the brand image. So I want to also, talking about shiny objects, I want to also give a little bit of a warning to healthcare providers who are chasing that new opportunity. I gotta be on TikTok. And maybe you gotta be on TikTok, but figure out a way how to do it that fits the vibe that you want to have around your name. So number one is, okay, let's establish the brand image for yourself. Let's clear the messaging, when we talk to people about the value propositions that you have. Let's make sure that that's easy for people to understand. And then the next one is, how do we communicate? I'm just going down the strategic chart that we created. Guys, it's super simple. It's not something that is rocket science, but I think the power is actually in this simplicity. So on the top of the chart, you have different value propositions, different ways that you or Dr. Asha, or myself, how do we give value to people, right? Then we have another layer that is going to be the type of brands that we have, right? Different companies, different brands. What are the means through which we communicate? Then is the communication channels, Zoom meetings, podcast interviews, et cetera, social media content, featuring other people in your content is also a way to communicate value. Then we have target market audience segments, because there are different segments. And on the bottom, I hope you can see my hands. And on the bottom, we have these target market personas, and understanding the specific aspects of that persona that Dr. Asha told us that she wants us to target with the content is so important, not only for me, but it's also important for my team. Because when they put a piece of B-roll, like for example, she talks about, busy moms that are 35 to 55, and then they're with entrepreneurial mindset. When she mentions the word business in her video, practical thing that literally is happening, my team will know, okay, we're not showing a big corporation. When she says business, she means a busy mom that is 35 to 55 and maybe, preparing a lunch for a kid and grabbing her laptop. And then when we send a video to Asha for review, she will say, you know what? That's exactly what I wanted. And then I'm like, are you actually looking at these videos? And she's like, no, I actually like it, because she approves everything. And it's great to be able to send her exactly what she needs. That strategic chart is a good strategy that you can implement yourself. I will have some content about this as well. Capturing the value, showing it to people, and then making sure the communication is very strategic, and also collaborative partnership connections with other healthcare providers. Please pick any of these and expand on some of these, because I wanted your words to be the primary means in which we communicate this.
Yes. So the value comes, like you said, that it's easier for me to express that value just from that chart, the flow chart that we have created together. So being able to express that value more clearly, whether it's in person or through a video or through content that I put together, has been priceless. And then the idea of building that presence has always been, I'm going to call it the bane of my existence. It is not I've not been at the forefront of social media the entire time that I've been in business, and having you and your team be my, I'm going to call it right-hand men and women, to be able to just kind of offload that piece to you has been also priceless. Because like you said, I get the videos and I do watch them all, and because I usually don't like to listen to myself, but I will watch them because I think what you do and how you do it to help enhance the message that I'm getting across or trying to get across is just beyond, bar none, beyond what I've ever seen from anybody that I've ever worked with in the past. And I think that's an important piece to me. But I'm going to kind of tie it back to what you said at the beginning. I'm not just a client. We've built a friendship. And to me, that's the most important part, is that I feel like I have a friend in this journey to be able to build my brand, to be able to do what I want to do and how I want to do it. And you guys take really good notes and you listen. Your entire team is that way. And I feel so confident and comfortable with anything that you do that I'm just like, yes, check. It's all great. And I I've never really felt that way with anybody that I've worked with in the past on this. So.
Wow, thank you. Let's talk about, because people will see you in this video and other videos, and they will say, she's probably one of the most confident people that I met. And I wanted to talk about that one aspect to motivate other people to actually be on video, because it wasn't always like that, right?
Oh, not at all. I used to be and people don't believe me, but I used to be a wallflower when I was little. And I have built myself over many, many, many years. Probably started back when I was in college, that I realized that in order for me to create the impact that I wanted to have in this world, I was going to have to make some changes, and I was going to have to push past a massive comfort zone that I was in. And so that's been building little by little, but it's always there. So anybody out there that's listening that has that nagging lack of self-confidence, it's in everybody. It is literally in everybody. And so it just depends on you, and you really envisioning what you want your future to look like, what kind of impact you are really wanting to make, and then just going for it. It is literally just going for it. I think when I met Mike, the one thing, I think he asked me, what is the one thing that you need to get from this? And I said, I need to gain my confidence. And he started laughing. He started laughing because I can get in front of a camera and I can talk for a very long time. However, there is still that piece that's inside of all of us. And so it is still a barrier that every time I click record on anything, you have to, you just have to go for it. And so that's a large part. And through this process with Mike and his team, it's just been, okay, I'm going to click go, and they're just going to make me look good anyway. So, so I'm really excited about being able to be in this with you and your team, because it has helped build that self-confidence in me even further. And I think even from when we started, you can see a difference in me, in my videos, in how I conduct these types of interviews or anything like that. It's just a stark difference from the beginning.
Yeah, big time. And thank you for mentioning that, because I think a lot of people have this, including myself, this discomfort. The moment we click record, we are so self-conscious. And one of the things that I think is important for people to realize is, who am I really recording this video for? Mm-hmm. Right? Even this video, remember our conversation right before we pressed record, we talked about, what do we want the viewer to get from the video? And when we focus on this, it makes it a little bit less important. How do I look? Did I stutter a little bit? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe it's not my perfect day. Maybe my allergies are bothering me. All these things don't really matter that much in the context of recording it for somebody else. And when you're recording a video for somebody, keep in mind, you're not recording it for yourself. And if you do, then don't publish it. Just record and watch yourself. But if you record for other people, you don't have to be overly self-conscious. Just make sure that the value gets across. So I think that's going to be an important part. I have a very short version of the story that was a pivotal moment for me. It was one of the doctors in these marketing seminars that I attended. One of them was about public speaking. And he said that one time he went to do a presentation, and it was the first presentation. He happened to be a chiropractor, and he had this group of people, and he did the whole presentation without even turning around, because he was so afraid to turn to the audience. And he felt like he messed up miserably, just read all the slides with a trembling voice. And, at the end, he waits until all people leave. And then he turns around. And I remember him talking to me as I see him as the most comfortable and confident speaker in the world. He says, I will let everybody leave. I was so, sweaty and so stressed out. I turn around to pack my equipment, and I see this older person sitting there. And I just ask her, why didn't you leave? And she says, I finally understand why I have headaches. And she became a patient. And he said, even if you mess up the worst in your life, you can still help one person. And I think this was the pivotal moment in the mindset of, like, this not only is for public presentations, this is for this video. Even if we can help one person with this video and somebody says, you know what, that was valuable, that was cool, I want to implement this motivated me, or you find something in this video that is helpful. And by the way, let us know in comments below if you find certain elements of this that we need to expand on. We will be happy to do that. I think that story shifted my perspective, and I wanted to share this with our viewers as well. So talking about the values and the strategies that you can use watching this. So one thing, capture the value. So instead of explaining everything on the inside, make sure that people, when they research you, they can see certain things on the outside. Then let's talk about some ways that we capture the value. I would like to ask you about podcasting. How do you feel about featuring others? Because capturing the value doesn't mean that you have to shine. You can let other people shine as well. So I will let you shine and tell people how you feel about podcasting.
Yes, I have absolutely enjoyed it. I love it. And it's something that was actually on a vision board of mine many moons ago, and I never really took the steps to get into it. I think I was in my own head about it, as we all tend to get. And so talking through that with you and then starting a YouTube podcast has been eye-opening for me. And I absolutely love being able to let somebody else shine. And so the purpose of my podcast is called the Patient Advocacy Initiative Podcast. And it's really about bringing other healthcare practitioners or other people that are going to help patients get the right information for them. So again, helping make trial and error a thing of the past by giving you the right information. Dr. Google is out there and we can all use Dr. Google, but it's not necessarily what's right for us. And so really having the right resources, and that's the way I am really getting that word out there, is through that podcast. And, kind of going back to what you were saying, I love that story about the chiropractor. And that was what really brought me out of my fear, I'm going to call it, the lack of self-confidence of getting in front of the camera, is really thinking about, well, who is that person, that one person that I want to help? And if I can help that one person, it's not about getting 1 million followers and things like that. To me, it's about who is that one person, and you build it one person at a time. And if you can start there, that's what this podcast is about, is starting there. Who is that one person with that one video, with that one topic that I think it's going to impact for somebody? And so that to me is what the podcast represents, is that topic that somebody out there needs to hear. Things that I have, learned or accumulated or just figured out along the way, even during my own health journey, right? Or through patients' health journeys that I've watched. And so that's the important part of why I do what I do. And I'm not, I've never been one to say that I am a one-stop shop for everything. And this is where the integrative healthcare comes in. The only way you can show that is by bringing on other healthcare practitioners, other people that have the same type of goal in mind that you do. And so that's why I love doing what I do and highlighting other people, because they have so much to offer. And I want to really collaborate with people that are wanting to get a similar type of message out to help that one person.
And you do it so well too. That's what we do. We promote integrative healthcare. And that was actually a big surprise for me, because I didn't know what pharmacists can do, right? And what type of people are in the pharmacy world, because it was just, I just never had enough experience. And right now I'm seeing that being with an integrative mindset and being more of a holistic type of practitioner, it is unbelievable, because you have people who understand the medical and the medication world, and at the same time, with a functional medicine and integrative healthcare mindset, you can help people even better, because there are some providers who only talk about holistic. And with Dr. Asha, we have East meets West approach, which is another rabbit hole we can go into. Very, very interesting stuff. So in the context of integrative healthcare, if you could mention just a few words about the doctors networking group that we have, and the value of having strategic connections when needed. How do you value that, and what was your experience with our group?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the value is, I'm speechless at how much the value is, because I think where the misconception comes in with pharmacists is that we are, I'm going to call it pill pushers, because that's what people think is, okay, we're all about the prescriptions, the medications. How do we, which that is our expertise. And we do know a lot about that, but there are so many tools and resources and other, again, like you said, East meets West approach other modalities that we can use. And while we know a lot about that as pharmacists, and we have learned a lot, and I've spent the last 20 years of my career really honing in those skills, that's where a group like this, the Doctors Networking Group, really does come in, is to really find those strategic partnerships to say, okay, if I know a little bit about functional medicine, I know a little bit about various modalities, red light therapy, saunas, brain tap, all of these things, but really honing in on getting those strategic partnerships with the people that have created it or have used it for 20 years. Those are the people that I want to partner with. And this is a great way to do it, is to really get into those networking groups and find those collaborative relationships.
I love it. And we love that you're part of Polish Your Life, because as we are connecting you with others, I'm so proud to connect them with you as well. So it's a two-way street. Talking about linking healthcare marketing and branding with business development, another thing that I think people don't realize is sometimes when you want to present something in order to sell, and sell, I'm saying in the best possible definition of this word, you don't necessarily, or a lot of people don't pay attention to what they're showing to people and is the value actually captured there. Where I'm going with this is packaging and presentation of your value to others. If you could talk about this in the context of you presenting your packages and your value to other people, and how we can, or having an agency help with that to make it easy and to have people clearly understand what is the value that I'm actually buying here, and why should I tell the viewers your experience.
So when I've been at this for a very long time as an entrepreneur, over 10 years that I have been an entrepreneur, and yes, it's been wonderful all along the way, with hardships included. It's a bumpy road. But when I met Mike last year, I had very specific ideas and goals in mind, usually some tied to finances, some tied to just the impact that I wanted to create through the various avenues that I had in my mind. The value that came from being able to, number one, as we already described, really hone in those roads and those pathways that I was going to take, was immeasurable, to the fact that it's not just about me getting the brand image out there. It's about how I can communicate that value to others. The more that I network, the more that I'm doing. And so those goals, I have to say, I think every single month over month, I've come to Mike and say, okay, I've beat this goal. I've beat this goal. I've beat this goal. And it's incredible to watch that. And I don't know that I would have been, I know that without having you and your agency helping me along this journey, I don't think I'd be where I am today right now. There's so much gratitude and appreciation that I have for having met you last year, at the time that I met you, because I do believe that things happen for a reason. And I think we met at the exact right time where I was ready to really have everything just kind of honed in and have that partnership with you to move forward. And this year just already has been far exceeded where I thought I could or wanted to be by this point in the year. That
is awesome. And law of attraction always works, right? So it definitely happened for a reason that we met. I'm also very, very grateful, because people don't realize this. Sometimes when you're watching this, you may not realize, because you're evaluating different people and agencies. Who am I going to work with? It's also a risk management for us, because you take a client who is not going to execute on a strategy, and now you, as an agency, you become, judged by the end result, right? So I am looking at this relationship as something that is beneficial, and very, very much grateful for that, both ways, because you're grateful that we have these results, but I'm glad we have these results, because this is a case study. This is a success story that we can show to other people, knowing that, it's not even half a year. And Dr. Asha mentioned to me that, so let's talk about ROI, please. Return on investment, both on time, because we are investing multiple resources, right? Time, energy, and money as well. How do you feel about that?
Okay, well, we're going to start with the time and the resources. aside from the finances, but the time and the energy that I have been able to, I'm going to say save, has been ridiculous as far as being able to put in the time and energy that I need to, because you're taking things off my plate. So number one, I'm not having to worry about even the video production, or did I do this right, or can we edit this? That's the first thing. The second thing is, when I do bring an idea and say, yes, I said yes to this opportunity, I have no idea where to even start with creating this presentation or what I should say or do, and having that you as that consultant to tell me, okay, here's where we're going to start. Here's what we're going to do. So the idea here is every coach needs a coach. So even though I coach on how to do things, every coach needs a coach. And so that's what I feel like that time and energy resource has been able to do for me, is to open up my ability to go out and say yes to more opportunities. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the financial ROI, which we all are here for that reason too. There's no reason to kick that under the rug. And I had a very large goal for the year, at least so I thought, which was going to far exceed what I've done in previous years. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it's June, it's halfway through the year, and I've already hit that goal for the year. So the fact that I've been able to do that because I've opened up time, I've opened up energy, I've been able to clearly communicate the value and benefit to the people that I work with, has just far exceeded where I ever thought I could be in 2023.
Wow. And I'm so proud of our teamwork, because it's a team approach, and you can as a consultant, it's almost like it's like being a gardener, and now you're watering all these, like you put these plants and then you water them. Some of them are already here, but you take care of it, and now you see this garden grow, right? And you see that these fruits are actually happening, and you can see the client happy. It means so much. And I think it's also friendship building as well, because it's a little bit easier to build friendship in the context of like, hey, we're investing X and now we are getting Y, and if Y is much bigger than X, you feel comfortable. It's good energy around it, and I love it. Let's talk a little bit about flexibility, because I always want people to know that the key is to have flexibility from the beginning. Yes, there is some time investment that is needed to set the strategy, to learn about the priorities for you, Asha. But also, I want to have the client decide month after month, what are we doing next month, and having that flexibility. So right now we switch, for people who don't know, we switch from the initial push to something that is on a maintenance level, and I keep it very flexible. We can switch to as needed. We have maintenance. We can go up. We can go down. How do you feel about flexibility, and how important is it for you?
Oh, it's 100% important. And I love the flexibility that you've been able to give. Sometimes when we get into relationships like this, it gets very rigid. And for me, that is the last thing as a busy mom and entrepreneur. That's the last thing I need is that rigidity, because everything needs to be fluid in my case. If I have to go pick up a sick child or take care of my parents or whatever it may be. And so to have that flexibility has been wonderful. But what I love about it is that there was guidance through it. So it wasn't like, oh, there's so much flexibility that I fall off the wagon. There was enough guidance and support along the way that it's okay if I needed a little extra time, but I was going to be pulled right back in. And so that's what's been great about that. And the flexibility from, like you said, the initial push to the maintenance that we are right now. I will say the one piece that I miss our conversations that we used to have more regularly. I love getting on the phone with you, or the Zooms with you. I absolutely love it. And it brightens up my day. It changes the course of my week. I just absolutely love those conversations. And that is part of building that friendship, building that relationship. And it's really how you as an agency, the owner of the agency, really are able to connect and be able to share the value that I bring, because you bring that into those conversations and you're able to see it better. And I think that flexibility and being able to have that access it's white glove service, in my opinion. And I can't say enough about it. And like I said, I miss the weekly conversations that we were having before, but every time I get on the phone, every time I know and I see on my calendar that I have an appointment with you, I know there's going to be so much value and so much that comes out of it. that it brightens up the rest of my month now, whenever I get a chance to do that.
Wow. Thank you so much. This is really, really awesome. And I appreciate you sharing this in the context of somebody maybe watching right now. And they're, people have been burned by a lot of different situations. And I understand and I empathize with this. At the same time, we have a cost of action, especially when it comes to time and money. It hurts, right? Every month, the agency is going to send you a bill. Now you have to pay for it. It hurts. You feel it. There's also a cost of inaction that a lot of people don't even think about. So, for example, the cost of you not having a brand or not having a strong enough brand, I'm not talking you particularly, but you watching, maybe you run ads all the time and on the back end, you're getting some leads, but it's all on the back end, and on the outside, people don't really understand your value. Let's say you come to sell your office one day, you want to bring a strategic investor, a partner, and then they usually tend to just look at the assets in a way that is pretty brutal. And they will say, okay, well, what do you have here? You don't have that, you don't have that, you don't have that. So having the equation of cost of action and also cost of inaction, and just, looking at these two together, I think that what you're doing right now is helping also people take action when action is needed. And it's on me to manage the risk for them by giving the flexibility, etc. So if somebody is watching this, right, what would you say to them, like 1 or 2 sentences about a potential possibility to work with me and our agency?
I only get 1 or 2 sentences? No. The idea behind having somebody like your agency be a part of the equation is it is priceless in the end, because even though you are going to be getting those monthly bills or whatever it is, I have never in the entire time that I've worked with you ever felt the crunch of it, because it's brought so much more value, whether it was financial ROI or time and energy ROI. It has been, it just didn't even roll off, it rolled off my shoulder is what I should say. So I will say the value of working with your particular agency, and I have talked to others, so I will say that the reason why I landed with Polish Your Business is because of what you guys bring to the table. It is bar none one of the best things that I've ever done for me personally, as well as my business. And so if you're thinking about it, you probably need to have it. And to have a conversation with Mike and his team is going to be priceless. Wow.
Thank you so much. And for those of you watching, also, don't think about our agency only. Think about connecting with Dr. Asha. She is a wealth of knowledge, wealth of value as a collaborating strategic partner. She is just an unbelievable human being. I talked about her passion through these meetings, and I think you can feel it now. It means much more than just words. And maybe we should add one more sentence here. So we talk about business development, but what's the context? The context of all this is on the other side. There is a person that needs a service. That person can be sitting with a problem. Maybe it's diabetes. They meet Asha. They meet her Pai Wellness Group or one of the team members of Pai Wellness Group. Their life changes forever. They feel like there was trial and error all the time that drove them crazy for 10 years sometimes, right? Or more. Mm-hmm. And now they feel better. So when we talk about business development between the two of us and also between different companies, keep in mind, in healthcare, business development does not mean just multiplying dollars. Business development means you can help more people. And when it comes to connecting with Dr. Asha, I know that this is going to be an extremely valuable connection. So don't think about us only. Think about Dr. Asha, connect with her, and think about yourself and really what is it that you need? What is it that you want? I always tell people you can talk to everybody, but the most important conversation will be the one that you will have with yourself, with the person in the mirror. Ask yourself, what do you want? Act on it. And remember, there's one life that we know about for sure, right? I believe there is more than one. And we need to just have a good ride. So that's what I wish you. Have a wonderful day. And Dr. Asha, thank you so much. I appreciate you every single day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.